Hello out there and welcome to our Revere Veterans and Community Show. Today I have a special guest. You people have seen him all over the city. His name is John Correggio, a Vietnam veteran for 6 years. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
To the show, John.
Right.
You are a double veteran because you're also a community veteran and a military veteran. And first of all, let me thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tell us a little about your military career.
Well, I served in the 373rd General Hospital Group, which was located at the Boston Army base. I served there for 6 years. I was in the motor pool section. It was a very rewarding experience being in the military. Quite of a different life, you know, from civilian life.
Definitely.
But I did what I had to do, and I put my time in.
Right. And your rank there, what was your rank, if I may ask?
I was just regular.
A private PSC?
Yeah, private PSC.
And how did you like the Army, by the way? I loved it when I was
I'll be honest with you, going through basic training and
where did you take your basic?
Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Same here?
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, at the end there, when you finish basic training, they had graduation exercises, and it was quite a moving thing. Everybody, you work as a team when you're in the military. You try to protect one another, and you're protecting America.
That's right.
And America is important to me. And I was thinking about making the military my life career because I was really moved because you're serving the country and you're protecting America. And I believe every American is important. And a lot of people are jealous about this country because we are the greatest country around.
And the freest, too.
Freest. And it's the land of opportunity.
Right.
A lot of people want to come here from all over.
Exactly.
But it was a very moving experience, and I learned a lot about different people from all over the country that came for basic training. And so I did what I had to do, and it was very fulfilling. Right.
When you get out of the service, people don't know that, but you were on the Revere Fire Department for 32 years, I believe?
Right. I took the fire exam, and I served 32 years in the Revere Fire Department, retiring as a lieutenant.
And you tell us some of your experience on the fire department for 32 years.
Well, the first year I was on, we had the Great Chelsea Fire, and that was in October of 1973.
Wow.
And almost a quarter of Chelsea burned. And it was something that, it was just really something they would never see something like they think could happen. But we did all we could, and it really wasn't a loss of life.
There was nobody died?
Yeah, it was a miracle that it wasn't a loss of life. And Chief Fothergill, who was a great chief for the city of Chelsea, who I knew quite a bit because when I was on the job, we used to go to Chelsea for mutual aid for different other fires. So everybody gets friendly with one another. But again, it's like the military. It's a semi-military organization being in the fire department. You work as a team, you do things, you protect one another. It's a whole different type of life than working a regular job.
It's almost like being in an army because your people live together in the same firehouse.
Yeah, that's right.
And you cook your own meals and everything there?
Yeah, we have some cooks in the station that make different things, different meals and things in the station.
John, I got to ask you this here. It sounds good what you just said. Is there any age limit for the fire department there?
Well, I think over 36 you can't take the exam, you know.
Oh, thank God I'm not that old. Thank God.
Yeah,
no, that's fantastic because it's really, you people have one of the toughest jobs in the community, really. You and the police department.
Yeah, in most cities and towns, they get a great benefit from the fire department. You get great service. I mean, whether it's a medical issue, the fire apparatus is there. You hang up the phone, and there's any kind of an emergency, the apparatus is there no matter what. And today, everyone's all EMT trained. They're all up to par medically. So, you know, we're in good hands. Whether it's Revere or the city of Boston, most cities are up to standards with all the new technology.
John, I got to ask you a question because I think you guys are fantastic, and I'll tell you why. I watch the fire trucks going down the street when they have to rush to a fire, but they're split up. The fire truck has one guy sitting in the back doing the I don't know if he's doing the driving or the steering.
He's a tiller man. Tillman on the ladder truck.
Oh, and he just steers that back?
Yeah, yeah, because sometimes you're making
turn?
a turn on a tight street, especially streets off of Shirley Avenue. So you need that that kind of apparatus to do that.
And let me ask you about the fire trucks, because how often do you people get new fire trucks?
Well, according to the NFPA, apparatus should be replaced anywhere from 9 to 10 years.
Oh.
According to NFPA standards.
So
because there's a lot of wear and tear today on the apparatus. Fire apparatus is constantly going, whether it's a medical call or whether it's an automobile accident, alarms going off in the building. Apparatus is almost like a taxi service. They're going all the time.
you said every fireman that's on the fire department today is EMT trained?
Yes, you have, by law, you have to be EMT trained.
Every single one of them?
That's correct.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like that years ago.
Yes, no, it wasn't. But you have to be recertified every year too.
Oh.
EMT.
And where do you get your training for the EMT, if I may ask you? You go to special nursing school? Or?
They have people come in. They do have classes in-house in the fire department, and they go through the process.
Oh, that's that's pretty good.
Right.
Okay, now another question. People don't know that, and I didn't know that till I spoke to you. You also spent some time on the school committee, and you were there 6 years, I believe?
6 years on the school committee.
Let us know about
From
that.
1980 to 1990.
That's 10 years, John. 1980?
Yeah, 1986, I'm sorry.
1986?
Yeah.
That's good. Tell us how you enjoyed that.
It was really great, you know.
And who was the superintendent at that time?
William Hill.
Yep.
And when I was on there, they never had a policy manual, so I made a motion on the school committee to establish a policy manual for the school department.
That's very good. And tell me exactly what is the focus that the school committee does for the schools?
Well, basically, they vote on monies in the school department, where it should go, whether it be on a variety of things in the schools, of running the school system, you know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now tell us, you ran for the city council at one time, and you were elected, and you spent, I think, 9 years?
9 years on the city council.
Tell us what you did then, what you would like to see the city council do in the future for the city, or you yourself.
Right. Well, to me, it was a rewarding experience because you're serving the people in the city. And being on the city council, you have a variety of issues that come up, from building issues to the budget, public safety. You have the elderly, you have the veterans. When I was on the council, veterans are important and the seniors are important to me. I made a motion not to cut the pharmacy and the clinic at the South Chelsea Soldiers Home because the governor was cutting out monies for that. And I put a motion in right away to send that to the governor and the legislature not to cut out the pharmacy and the clinic for the Chelsea Soldiers Home.
You know what I like to see Governor Baker do is put the outpatient department back into the Chelsea Soldiers Home, because people like myself that can't get around much, who are veterans, we have to go into Boston to the VA in Jamaica Plain or West Roxbury, or the one on Causeway Street. So if Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Karen is listening, if you can, please, please put that back for us.
You need to be more aware of the veterans today, especially the new veterans coming over from Iraq.
I know from the Gulf War, from
I mean, you have a lot of new veterans coming over. They need services, and you need to try to localize some of these clinics to try to help them out, because some of them maybe don't have a car, they don't have the proper transportation. So you want to try to make it as convenient as you can to help our veterans. They're important. We wouldn't be here today. There's millions of Americans that wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for our veterans from all wars.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
You know, I always say this on the air, and I'm going to say it again. They called the World War II veterans the greatest generation. But I got to be honest with you. Everyone that puts on an American uniform, any kind that serves our country, is from the greatest generation. And I think you'll agree with me on that.
I agree with you, yep.
Right. Now, you also ran, people don't know these things, but you also ran as a state representative. Tell us about that.
Yeah, back in 1990, I was a candidate for state representative. There were certain laws and certain issues that I disagreed with, and
Can you elaborate on some of those laws?
well, some of them were on the pertaining to health care and insurance issues that I disagreed with and wasn't being addressed properly. So I decided to run for state representative. Hopefully, if I got elected, I could make some changes and change some laws pertaining to that.
Such as?
Insurance issues, health care, and again, our veterans.
Right. That's what's good. You also have something that I wrote down here. If we haven't covered it, just elaborate on that a little bit. Was public service. Could you tell us a little about the public service? If we haven't covered any of it?
Well, my 32 years in the fire department, 6 years on the Revere School Committee, 9 years on the City Council. Public service has been a way of life for me. I spent half my life in public service, and it's been a rewarding experience because I was there to help people. I like helping people, and a good fit for me was the fire department. Because whether someone needed medical assistance, whether they were trapped in a fire, I put my life on the line. Because all the time you go out on that apparatus, you don't know when if you're gonna make it back. Because it only takes that one time.
Right. John, I'd like to ask you something. You've been endorsed by a few organizations,
Right.
and I'm going to spend on one. And I think there was a letter from the local Boston Labor Council, if they could put it on the screen. If they put the letter from the local Boston Labor Council, just tell us a little about that there, because I'm not familiar with these.
Well, I got 3 endorsements. The one, that's the Iron Workers Local 7.
Okay, well, let's talk about that first then.
I've been very loyal on the City Council for unions. I believe that union labor gives the city on any construction a better product, better looking building and safety-wise. And plus you're keeping Revere residents, which is most important, working on the construction site. So when the developer used to come up before the meetings, and some guys used to scramble a little bit, I said, sir, is union labor going to be utilized on the project? And they wouldn't give a commitment right away. I come out and I mentioned to them, I said, I want to see some kind of a commitment with the project. And recently with the McKinley School, there was another company coming in that was non-union to do the iron work. And I found a flaw in the contract, and I brought it to the attention to some of the city officials, the mayor and the city solicitor, and we managed to get the union iron workers in there and got the non-union workers out. So I went above and beyond to try to help the union workers work on any project in Revere.
Right, John, and I want to say...
That's why I got the endorsement, because I spend time and I research.
I'm very familiar with your Local 7 because I used to be a structural steel
Right.
designer and a steel detailer. So I had a lot of contact with Local 7. I remember my first job was with an iron company on Washington Avenue, Grosser and Schlager Iron Works. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They used to be in Somerville.
Right.
I worked for them. And then there was another one called West End Iron Works.
Right.
Ring a bell to any of those?
Not really, no.
Okay. Do you know of any of the ironworks that companies, steel companies that you did? I'm not talking about steel suppliers, steel fabricators.
Just basically, there's certain ones that are union that they use, they work with.
Right. I know some of them were located in Lynn, like North Shore Steel, which is
yeah,
one
right,
of the
right.
companies out there.
Right.
And another one was Bethlehem Steel, where we used to get the steel from.
Yeah, right.
Good. Now, you also have something to do with local Boston, the local Boston Labor Council. I think you got a letter of endorsement for them too?
Yeah, the Boston Labor Council is involved with at least 30 to 40 unions. And I got that endorsement 2 nights ago. They called me to speak before their membership. I went down to 103, which is the electrical union on Freeport Street in Dorchester. And they ask you questions before they endorse you. And the first thing I did was I presented myself. I told them what I was about. And I told him my family basically all been in the union, and the tile work you see in the summer tunnel right now is all done by union labor. And my family worked for Zani and Albury Tile, which is a union tile company. And myself being a union member of Local 926, Revere Firefighters, I told them I supported casino gaming, slots, and other union issues, and I got the endorsement.
Very good. I also want to mention one more local, and that's Local 3, the Bricklayers Union.
Bricklayers Union.
Tell us a little about that one.
Yeah, Chuck Razzo's president of the Bricklayers Local 3. All the time they call me on an issue with a company that's non-union. I always responded. I did the research. And again, there was a masonry company that was non-union, that had problems, insurance problems. They were going to work on the McKinley School, and I got them thrown out, and I got the Bricklayers Local 3 in there. And they never forgot that.
So what, can I ask you why you had them thrown out? Because they were non-union?
Well, not so much non-union. They didn't have proper insurance, workman's comp, and there was some other issues.
Yeah, they all have, right, and they all
They were the lowest bidder, but you want the qualified lowest bidder.
right, and they also have to be bonded.
Right, so there was a lot of insurance issues involved there. Yeah.
That's good to know. Now we got to talk about a sad story. You had a friend of yours who was at the World Trade Center when
Right.
it got hit. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I used to fly to New York all the time, and I used to spend time with the firefighters in New York, and I used to have dinner with them all the time, lunch once in a while, and then I used to take in the sights in New York. But I got to be close with a friend of mine, Robert Spears, and we used to talk about Boston Fire Department, and we used to talk about sometimes the Red Sox and the Yankees once in a while. And so we got to be good friends. And what happened on September 11th, and I was working that day at Engine 3 in Beachmont, and I just got home. I turned on the TV, and I saw a plane that went into the World Trade Center. And a week later, I decided to call and find out how my friend was doing on Engine 54. And they said, John, that whole crew has passed away. I just
They got it trapped in
yeah,
there.
yeah, I just couldn't believe it. And so that day there, I was ready to get on a plane and take my fire gear and help them fight the fire, because I wanted to help out my buddies. We're all part of the same union, whether you're from California, Florida, you're all buddies, you're firefighters, and everybody respects one another.
That's good.
Yeah.
John, you also mentioned something to me before we went on the air, too. We were discussing this. When you was on the fire department in the city of Revere, there was a big fire on Highland Street?
Highland Street. It took, that fire there took 6 3-deckers. And it was a week before Christmas. And it was a cold, cold night. And there was another fire around the corner, which was 3 alarms on Centennial Avenue. And this fire came in about after that fire was knocked down, and a lot of Everett, and Malden, and Boston, and part of Revere had to respond to that, and it ended up to be almost a conflagration. Through the good work of mutual aid, which we are enjoying today, mutual aid of other cities and towns, we managed to keep the fire contained to 6 3-deckers.
John, I would like to ask you a question, because, you know, they're building buildings 6 stories, 10 stories, 20 stories,
Right.
the big, like the John Hancock.
Right.
How do you people, how high can you go with a ladder on the fire truck, approximately?
Well, if conditions are right and you're pretty close to the building, no more than 10 stories.
That's 100 feet.
Yeah, 100 feet. But yeah, but a lot of times you can't go up 10 stories. You can go up maybe 8 or 9. The ladder truck would have to be pretty close to the building to get the 100 feet, to get the 10 floors. So most of the time, you could get to 8 to 9 floors with no trouble.
Oh, I can see. Now, you also have helicopters where you can lower fire department, fire apparatus down and take people out, like let's say the 20th floor or 30th floor, if you had to.
No, you can't use helicopters for that.
You cannot?
No.
Okay. So what happens to them up higher? They're trapped?
Well, a lot of times you use the stairwells, which are kind of fireproof. You try to use the stairwells. I wouldn't recommend any elevators because the elevator can get off at the fire floor.
Oh, I see.
So you try to use the stairwells
So
going down.
in case people who are higher up and then there was a fire in a building, you would recommend to use the stairwell?
I would recommend using
Instead
the
of the
stairwell.
elevator?
I wouldn't use an elevator.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
Right.
I'd like to spend, we got 7 minutes left. I want to take a little time. I want to talk about your father. His name is John P. Correggio, Sergeant, World War II veteran.
Right.
And you brought in something which I was shocked, but you're going to talk about this. This is the Bronze Star, which is just one star below the Congressional Medal of Honor.
That's correct.
Talk about your dad because, by the way, I know he's not alive, but if he was, I would salute
Right.
him. Thank you.
My father was just a sensitive, quiet guy. Raised a family like everyone else. Served in the South Pacific during World War II, just like any other American. At that time, he was in the South Pacific in Bougainville and Guadalcanal. And everybody there did a job. You know, they weren't interested in medals. They were just trying to do what they had to do. And they had this hill they called 260, and there was about a company of men, about 170 men that were trapped on the hill. You couldn't even move an inch because there was a pillbox with 3 machine guns, Japanese, just raining bullets down on them. My father managed to get around where the pillbox was, threw a grenade, and my father was a BAR man and killed 6 Japanese and knocked out that pillbox. By knocking out that pillbox, he saved over 170 Americans because you couldn't move. You would have been leveled right down.
You know, I looked that up on the computer
Yeah.
about your dad, and I understand that he not only killed a few Japanese, but he bayoneted a couple of them too.
Yeah,
Which is hand-to-hand
one of them, or a couple of them, used Marine uniforms to disguise themselves as Americans. And my father says, I noticed their heads were different. And he shot one, and there was another one that came at him, and he bayoneted. Yeah.
Yep, and he said he killed them.
Yeah, yeah, he killed, I think, 6 or 7 Japanese.
Right.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
But it was a job. I mean, my father was a sensitive guy. It was a job that had to be done, and he got this medal to save himself and save his men.
And before you get the Bronze Star, people don't know that, you get the Silver Star?
Yeah, if you got the Silver Star, you got the Bronze Star.
Oh, both simultaneous?
Well, he was supposed to get it back then, and we applied for it after he passed away.
Oh, I see.
Because I wanted to get the Bronze Star to remember my father.
That was good.
Right.
And he spent, I think, we said 5 years in the service, approximately?
Yeah, 5 years.
Yep. And he came out as a sergeant.
Yeah. My father met General MacArthur.
Oh, yeah.
And MacArthur come out, and I never forgot these words. He goes, you never realize what something is worth until you pay for it. And we paid for it on those islands. We lost all those Americans.
I know then. These were tough battles.
Right.
Guadalcanal, Bougainville,
All of those.
Wake.
Yeah, Wake Island, yeah. The Marshall Islands.
Right.
Yeah.
Tough war. John, we got about 3.5 minutes, and I want you to take 2.5 of that for your own time and talk about whatever you like. What you like to see the city of Revere do in the future? What you like to see come out of the city of Revere with the new council?
Right. I think Revere is a great city. We have a lot of potential. We are an ocean city. We have a beautiful ocean, a beautiful beach. I like to see some really nice quality development for families, for children, shops, restaurants, bringing back some of the nostalgia of Revere Beach with the roller coaster.
I was going to mention that, Sandy's Rides.
Yeah, bring back some of that nostalgia of Revere Beach. And also, I'm impressed with the seaport area of Boston. That's going to be like a city in itself. I like to see some of that type of development come here in Revere Beach, not apartment buildings. I think the city has seen enough apartment buildings, and I think apartment buildings are going to be more of a safety factor now because it's bringing in more cars. There's more public safety issues. So the way to go now is to try to bring in quality developments, meet with these developers, set up meetings. You're going to have to probably go after them. It's going to take some work, but in the end result, you'll have a nice product on Revere Beach.
Right, John, but you know, you just mentioned something. Bringing in more apartments brings in more kids.
Right.
You need more kids, you need more schools.
Right.
And you need more infrastructure to get rid of all these waste, the water that they need to drink, plus
Right.
the waste they got to get rid of.
Right, right.
So the city is looking forward to that. You know, I would like to see the city bring in businesses. I think that would be good for the
Right.
city.
Yeah, it'll bring in, it'll broaden the tax base, which is important. And the other thing that's important is we got to help the citizens of Revere. I mean, the tax rate keeps going up. The water rates keep going up.
Yep.
I mean, people can't afford it anymore. I mean, a lot of them have to sell their house. They have to go into a project area or something. So we need to stabilize the tax rate. We need to put in a mechanism to stop the rise of taxes and water rates.
Right, John.
And that's what I'm hearing. And especially the seniors and the veterans. I mean, they're all on fixed incomes. So we need to do something to help them out.
Right. John, I got to tell you, we've got about a minute left, so I'm going to use it up. I want to say thank you for taking the time to
Thank
come
you very
down
much.
and visit us.
Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck. I want to say God bless our people of Revere. God bless you, John, for coming up here, our troops and our great country, the United States of America. Thank you all, folks, for listening. And John, good luck on your endeavor.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.